first was born, there was nothing out of the ordinary. Just a beautiful baby boy and two proud parents.
3 years later, Mrs. Hines gave birth again. But this time, there was a problem. Just a few years ago, there would have been no solution. Today, there is.
A word of warning that the following story might be difficult to watch, but they do demonstrate the great advances that have been made in plastic surgery during the last few years.
We're at the Animal Crackers Nursery School in West Cooksaki, New York. The students are a bright and happy bunch, but one of them, 5-year-old Darin, the Hines' second child, was born with a special problem. His mother explained.
When I had my first boy, the doctor held him up so I could see him. And they didn't hold Darin up. It didn't bother me because it was a new doctor. It's different.
When the doctor that delivered him came out and told me that he had a cleft palate, cleft lip, slight swelling on his forehead, and his eyes were far apart.
Well, I've heard of cleftless and palates. I knew they could be repaired, so it didn't bother me at all. And then they brought him into my room.
He was a monster. He looked like a monster. I was afraid. I was afraid because I had never seen anyone like that. I was afraid I couldn't help him.
I just couldn't understand why God chose my son.
He had no chance, if left as is.
Then I got in contact with a pediatrician in Albany. And when Darin was released from the hospital with me, we took him up there. And then he sent us to a plastic surgeon in Albany.
And they were very, very honest with us that technically they could help us, but they couldn't guarantee the work.
And I just about fell to pieces because I was worried that he'd be brain damaged or something like that.
If it wasn't for them, we would have never met Dr. Woodsmith.
Dr. Donald Woodsmith is a plastic surgeon who specializes in pediatric problems at the Institute of Reconstructive Plastic Surgery.
Darin first came to us as a patient from upstate New York. He was approximately 6 weeks of age when he came down to see us first. He gave a history of being product of an apparently normal pregnancy, no problems with delivery, and other than a rather horrendous craniofacial deformity, appeared to be in pretty good physical shape. In Darin's case, the deformity is perhaps best illustrated by showing the bony anomalies. You can see here that normally this is the upper jawbone. It should be joined to its fellow of the opposite side. This is the nasal cavity here. The green area here is actually brain that is protruding down between the two orbits, and by the pressure of its protrusion down here is actually forcing the orbits apart. This is the area of greatest potential risk to life for Darin. This brain protrusion is always liable to become eroded, is liable to leak, and the patient would develop meningitis, so that an immediate problem was to repair this area here. The other studies conducted on Darin gave us no reason why we should not operate on him at an early stage. On that basis, at the age of approximately 4 months, we began the operative procedures on Darin. The first operative procedure consisted of a lip adhesion.
2 months later, when Darin was only 6 months old, he would undergo major surgery to reshape his skull. The operation had to be performed as soon as possible so that Darin's developing facial bones would grow properly as he got older.
We knew the risk. Anytime you go under anesthesia, there's a risk. We knew the ramifications. We knew that he could possibly die. Anything could go wrong. But I felt if he was of the age where he could make a sound decision, he'd want the same thing. So we went with it.
The operation takes 6 hours.
In this operation, we open the anterior portion of the skull. This is done in conjunction with our neurosurgeon, Dr. Fred Epstein, and he lifts the brain so that we can have a clear access to the anterior cranial fossa, or that is the roof of the orbits or eyeball sockets. The remainder of the operative procedure involves repairing this defect here, where the brain is bulging into the nasal cavity and into the forehead. We have to bring the eyeballs and their sockets, the orbits, together. Now, this is done by carefully cutting down the lateral or side orbital walls here and here, cutting through the bone posteriorly here in the maxilla. We repair or remove structures from the midline and bring these two areas closer together. This closes the deficiency here and leaves us obviously with gaps here and gaps here. The gaps on either side here and here are filled with bone that's obtained from the patient's hip.
Darin was now on his way to being a normal boy.
Without this surgery, Darin might not have lived to celebrate his first birthday. Since that time, Darin has undergone 5 additional operations.
The prognosis for Darin at this point is that he'll probably have another 2 to 4 operations between now and the time he reaches adulthood. From the viewpoint of achieving a normal and fruitful life, there's no reason why Darin shouldn't behave in totally normal fashion and live as a normal adult.
Darin is well on his way to doing just that.
There is no real problems that one could anticipate as a result of the surgery. His growth and development appears to have been normal, and certainly, as we commonly find with these patients, his intellect is either normal or above normal.
Darin is indeed a very bright child, and despite the ordeal he's gone through, Darin is emotionally sound and very happy. He's living the life of a normal boy, a life that only a few years ago would not have been possible.
Darin has some facial problems. He can cope with that. At least he has his mental capabilities, and we're very, very lucky. We're lucky to have him, and I think out we go.
We were lucky